Before we're talking about a customer coming along to choose his general contractor, I want to flip that question on you.
Okay.
You as a contractor or a subcontractor, whoever is listening to us now, I found that not always you want all the customers. Not all customers and contractors are a good fit. How do you go about screening your customers to make sure they're right for you?
I think first off, for contractors that are perhaps a bit newer to the business, or contractors that struggle with clients that don't pay, struggle with clients that are just belligerent and very difficult to work with, because, as I said, in a previous conversation, some contractors are crappy, but you know what? There's some pretty crappy clients too. And people say, something goes wrong with a project, and it's like the contractor was late, or the contractor did a bad job, or the contractor doesn't show up, or whatever it is. And as a rule of thumb, when we get called up by a client who says, "I've fired my contractor, I'm looking for someone new," I will call the contractor. I'll be like, "What happened?" And if the guy seems completely reasonable and tells me a story, I'll call back the client and say, "This isn't the job for us. We're not interested." So first off, if you get called to take up the reins of a project that's gone off the rails, really understand why it went off the rails, because there's always two sides to this conversation. My partner and I had an agreement that we wouldn't work with the irretrievably crazed.
That's a good agreement.
It is a good agreement, and we've said this to clients and to architects, and they've gone, ha, 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 and then they think about it and go, wow, we should maybe do that. There's this sort of realization that they do work with crazy people. So my first signs for vetting a client is make sure that your client, and often the client is husband and wife or civil partnership, whatever it happens to be, make sure they're in alignment with what they want. Which may seem obvious, but we come across it a lot, especially with the husband and wife team, where the husband doesn't really care about the new bathroom. He just wants somewhere to take a comfortable shower, and he's got a kitchen that works. Whereas the wife, and maybe making this a little general, but let's say for sake of argument, the wife wants this fabulous place that she can bring her friends round to, and she's at the golf club, or she's at the round table thing, or whatever it happens to be, her social event, and she wants people to know that, well, we've got a major problem with this, because the husband is trying to get this done for X price, which is his alignment, and the partner wants to have this fantastic thing. Whatever the fantastic thing is, right? And we can't keep them both happy. We can either do it for this price, which seems reasonable, or we can give them this fantastic thing, which is going to be 4 times the price. And you get involved with this, you get the plans and you get the bid and everything looks great. And you give them the bid and it's $500,000, which is perfectly reasonable. Can you do it for $300,000? It's like, no, I don't know that I can. But I can certainly start taking things out, and as you start taking things out, maybe we can get down to $425,000 by changing out the stone and changing out this. Well, now the partner is really unhappy that all this stuff, the juice, has been taken out of the job. We get into this negotiation and we walk away. There's 8 million people live in the greater New York City metropolitan area. I think there's 3.5 million people live on this island. Now, if 1% of those are changing their apartment each year, we've got 35,000 potential clients out there. Why do I want to work with 2 people that often don't like each other very much, that have completely different values as to what will make this a successful project? And ultimately, I'm going to piss one, if not both of them off during this entire thing. And at the end of the project, they'll suddenly become husband and wife again in this solid unit that speaks as one voice in their hatred of the construction industry. So make sure your client's aligned in what the end goal is. And make sure you clearly understand what that is. And two more basic ones that I go for is when a client tells you money isn't a problem, I work with billionaires. Money's always a problem. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we're really easy to work with. Why would you tell me you're really easy to work with unless people tell you you're a pain in the ass? So I use these sort of three basic things. Are they agreed and aligned in what they're trying to achieve? And are they telling me things that normal people wouldn't have to tell me? That's how I do my basic sort of sifting the wheat from the chaff.
Very good rule of thumb.
And don't be afraid to walk away from a client. Not necessarily, you've committed, you've signed up, that's fair enough, that's another deal. But if you start getting the feeling that this client is going to be a pain in the neck, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to be right. And do you need a pain in the neck? Is it better to take that project and spend 3 months and then ultimately risk not being paid, or spend another 3 weeks without work looking for the right fit? Looking for the client that's going to appreciate the time and effort that goes into it, appreciate how you run your projects, and then give you a great reference on to the next one. Because ultimately we're as good as the last job we did.
So you're saying don't work with irretrievably crazed.
Don't work with the irretrievably crazed. And you know it when you sit down. It's like sitting down with a girl in the bar. You know, she's friendly, and then all of a sudden she seems really crazy. Don't try and save her. Run away.
Don't save the irretrievably crazed.
No.
And keep an eye out for the red flags of I'm very easy to work with, I am not insane, and money is not a problem.
Or I'm going to make you famous. I know all these wealthy people, and I'm going to get you in magazines, and it's like, you know what, how about we do your job, and we'll get through that. Yeah, and beware people looking for bargains, because you've got to pay what you've got to pay. You've got to pay your own rent. You've got to pay your workers. You need to earn a living out of this. Otherwise, you may as well just go to the beach. If you're going to lose 10 grand on the job, spend $10,000 and go down to the Caribbean for 2 weeks. You're going to enjoy it a lot more.
I appreciate your value. That's a good thing.